Welcome to Beyond Canvas, a fresh perspective to the masterpieces of the past. In our premiere episode, we're expanding the artworks of Rembrandt, an artist whose work transcends time with its depth, depiction of light and emotion. You'll feel like you're having a peek around the scene and wondering about the infinite possibilities of generative AI. Enjoy your visit and let us know in the comments what artist you'd like to see next.
into the other